How the fuck? Ah! I'm done! I'm done!
Well, here it is. Let me introduce you to Spookin' Jukes. Now, in his own words, let me say,
I'm gonna warn you guys, this video will be spicy and it will be long. So grab your popcorn, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
in my personal opinion, he's the worst DBD content creator for a number of reasons. Unlike other videos calling out bad people or the worst YouTuber in a community, I'll be going for someone who, for the most part, is widely loved and much bigger than me. That's sure to go over well, right? I'm sure you emotional robots will have some good arguments, and won't just groupthink and blindly attack someone who doesn't tell you what you want to hear, or is toxically positive. So who is Spookin' Jukes? Well, to explain briefly, he's been making content in the DVD space for a long time, and initially it didn't really go anywhere until he made a certain type of video. A type of video that's killed several smaller content creators in broad daylight. A type of video that's seeped into other creators and become one of the most popular forms of content in this poisonous community. But we'll get into his influence later. Nowadays, he's one of the biggest figures in the community, preaching his milquetoast takes to his legions of orbiters while killing people in broad daylight and not being funny or entertaining. He has, in my opinion, the most absurdly negative impact on the community, with his content that promotes witch hunting and vilification of the underdogs in situations to ride off them for personal gain. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with... Spookin' Jukes impresses me with his hypocrisy and manipulation, using any scummy tactic to punch down and using his legions of droids to attack anyone he views as beneath him. And wow, that's a little dramatic, isn't it? I mean, he's just a normal white dude with a family who plays DBD as a job. Just a wholesome family guy with his wife who claims to be black, and his daughter he can show to his cesspool of weirdos on stream for them to say, "Oh, she's so fucking cute, bro." Yeah. I mean, look at how supportive he is. How could someone like this be the bad guy? The thing with him is, though, it's all about looking good, not doing good things. You have to learn to see right through it. His most popular types of videos are by far his hit piece videos. I mean, his other videos barely compare in views, so you gotta do what you gotta do, right? The hit piece videos are usually blatant one-sided framings of a Dead by Daylight interaction with all relevant context removed, showing it in a very black and white perspective and painting one side as the villain while pretending he's trying to help. He calls these videos an analysis of behavior, while putting himself on a pedestal as the holy bastion of morality and white knighting the other person, regardless of what they've done. But don't worry, in my debate with him, he plausibly denied that he was pretentious and didn't want to come off that way.
Go criticize everybody else for being pretentious. That doesn't make any sense.
So you're saying this...
And I don't even think I'm pretentious. I don't try to be pretentious. You admitted to being pretentious.
Yeah, it's because I'm not...
In your videos, you constantly gas yourself up and talk about how much effort, and I don't gas myself up in my videos. If anything, I talk shit about myself in my videos. I don't praise myself. I don't gas myself up.
Despite these holier-than-thou public executions being the most obnoxiously pretentious things in the entire community, besides my videos.
You can rage at a game without lashing out at somebody afterwards and insulting and harassing them. I know this guy doesn't understand the difference because he does go and harass people and insult them personally because he probably doesn't understand the difference between a video game and reality. I do, so I do rage at games, and and then I'll say GG and move on to the next game. I don't have to gas myself up in those videos. You like to personally attack people, and that's your thing. That's your cup of tea. That's probably why you don't like my content, and I get that. But let's not try and pretend like raging at a game and insulting someone or harassing someone or being shitty towards another human being are the same thing, because they're not. And if you can't grasp that, I'm sorry, that's a you problem.
They're all about like making fun of someone raging in a game and then being like, "Oh, I'd never do that. I'd never take it outside of the game. I don't take it this seriously." Except a lot of the people he makes videos on don't take it outside of the game, and they get doxxed for it anyways, provably. So for an example of that, let's look at his video on Pro Vengeance as a random example of a standard hit piece he would make just to lay the groundwork for what I'm going to be talking about, to familiarize those who don't know much about his content. This video got well over 200,000 views and a great like ratio, and it's not even a year old, so it should be a great primary example. Great tags, by the way. You're clearly just doing this for passion and nothing else. So these videos are apparently supposed to enact change, and he can hide behind that toxic positivity. So what messages did he have to console this streamer? Okay, well, he calls him sweaty despite playing fucking clown.
But it's just funny to me that he complains about people using every advantage they can get when that's all he does. When he plays Killer, he uses the sweatiest perks he can, plays in the sweatiest way possible. When he plays Survivor, he doesn't give a fuck about his teammates. He does the sweatiest shit possible with the sweatiest shit possible. All he does is use every advantage that he could think of to win and continue his streaks.
And then he just sticks himself in the top right corner of the video for 20 minutes straight, like a Jinx reaction cam to full unedited VODs of this random dude and mocking him over what exactly?
Of course he did.
Of course he did. Of course he had perks to counter my shitty playstyle. Oh, I just was being so smug, gonna let my team die. Haha, have fun. They're gonna die, I don't care. And now it's fucking just tears.
Like, his whole thing is don't take it outside of the game, right? But this guy always stays in his own lane and never goes to other people's chats. He's literally just getting mad, like you do, like we all do at this game. You want this guy to be harassed by your fans for this? You even try to paint him as a bad Survivor teammate for hiding in corners after the game was already lost? Like, he cuts out parts of the videos where he's actually helping the team because it fits his weird narrative to do so. Like, in these instances, he's just getting annoyed at the game as Survivor. He's not really doing anything, but you're gonna stick your talentless react cam in the top right and just mock him for getting mad? But didn't you say?
The first is comparing in-game rage and tilt to what I actually make videos about, which is people taking it outside of the game and harassing people, personal insults, viewer shaming, telling people to off themselves, all of that stuff. That's what I make videos about.
That's not even mentioning the debate between the two, that I'll get back to later, where Spooks cut out nearly 2/3 of the debate to make himself look better. He doesn't do this with most debates, he didn't do it with mine, but for this one, because they were talking in circles, even though that's all we did during our debate, this is the same for a lot of his videos. These people he makes hit pieces on usually stay in their own lane and never go out of the way to harass anyone outside of the game, and he just sits there on his high horse and punches down while his fans go into the random streamer's chat and send them tons of harassment, provably. He's very, very good at manipulation and controlling the narrative. It just shows you, like, how much of a snake he is, sort of. I've experienced this firsthand from his slaves as proof, but we'll get to that when we get to that. In his Matthew Santoro video, one of the major points he made is that it's wrong for a big creator like Matthew Santoro to show someone's Twitch on stream and send his fans to harass them. But isn't that, like, exactly what his main form of content is, but far worse? Like, he dedicates entire videos to ripping people to shreds because they got angry in a video game. I mean, I get it, salt content is funny, but making these dedicated hit pieces on a single person who's far smaller than him and sending your legions of brainless zombies to mass dislike and attack them seems a little hypocritical. And listen, calm down, okay? Are you okay? I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, but he hides the names though. No one can ever find them. They won't be harassed. This has never been the case. I understand that I'm fairly involved in the DBD community, but I've been able to figure out basically everyone he's made a video on with minimal research, and the hiding the names is just a way to cover his own ass. His audience always puts their names in the comments too, which I know he can't fully control, but if he didn't make a video in the first place, there wouldn't be any harassment for these smaller content creators. No creator can fully control their fans, but you can control where you send your fans. In the video he made on me, he has my name in the tags. He also just cannot seem to make up his mind if he hides the names to stop people from getting harassed, or if he hides them because they want it. Many of the smaller channels he made videos on were extremely unprepared for a huge channel like him to just put them on blast for literally nothing. And look, I know this isn't only what he's known for, but they are by far the biggest videos on his channel, and it's not even close. He won't stop making them because he has to support a stay-at-home wife, 2 kids, Tyrone, and Scott Jund. In all seriousness, supporting a family off this content might be why he's getting so desperate, and why he started attacking me and Angry Pug in an 801-minute video of slop. Making a video barely over 8 minutes long allows you to spam it with ads, by the way, which is exactly what he does. It's not talented at all, though. I'm being serious when I say that anyone could make shit like this. There's a reason why he got so mad at me calling out slop content in my videos. All he has to do is get someone else's VOD, which he doesn't even have to find, since his fans will send him some of the toxic interactions they get, which in reality are just random people getting mad at a game that everyone, including him, has gotten mad at before. These people he publicly slanders are almost always below him, and pretty much nothing is accomplished after the video, besides him getting money, despite the fact that he acts as a moral warrior and he's trying to help everyone.
Talk about a situation. Talk about why I think the behavior is excessive or bad, and then put the spotlight on the person who was harassed, and that I thought I was doing good. And I don't think that I'm not doing good.
People don't change after these videos are made on them. In fact, they just tend to get emboldened. No one wins after these except for him. They either get harassed by his legions of parasocial orbiters because finding these people is not a hard thing to do, or they just get more attention and views for baiting people, which is hilarious. Look at Matthew Santoro, for example. Spook and Jukes made a video on him a few years ago about how he rages at the game and blah blah blah. Then for the next 2 years, he was just cool with him. Like, they were just good friends and they swift together and shit. Despite Matthew Santoro being such an unbearable man-child and like pulling up people's profiles, he was just cool with him because he faked an apology to the point where he deleted the video. You think for what his content stands for, he would never associate with someone who's done stuff like that, but it just doesn't matter to him. He pretends like he cares, but he doesn't. Matthew not changing and putting on a mask shows you that these analysis of behavior videos don't really help anyone. Like, no one gets reformed and nothing positive happens for anyone but him. And he only recently came back to disown him, not because he cares, but because it would make him look bad to support such a toxic individual, despite people telling you about this for years after you privated the video. I mentioned before that he cut out parts of Pro Vengeance's streams to make him look like a bad Survivor teammate, but he actually does this a lot. Editing is a powerful tool, trust me, I'd know. And cutting out important context to make yourself look better is smart, just very, very slimy. His content in general is all about vilifying one side of a situation and showing it in a completely black and white perspective for his brain-dead audience. Like Dora the Explorer saying, this side is good, this side is bad, go kill and harass them. He loves to drama farm and write off other people's controversies, but barely gets into any of his own because he's never really had a hot take in his life that isn't I like Noed. He just tells everyone what they want to hear, so he's never been used to criticism in his life. There is a reason why his fanbase are such emotional skin puppets, but I'll get to them later. It's because he's a yes man filtering himself and appealing to the lowest common denominator of drama slop viewers. He always knows how to edit around situations in subtle ways to paint the narrative. Like when he cut out 2/3 of the Pro Vengeance debate when he was actually making good points. Or when he claimed that Void Totos ducked the debate with him after there was an actual fire in his apartment. What's funny about that debate is his butt buddy Rapid Main was like waiting around the corner to ambush him and like join the call during the debate.
Because, like I said, Spook said he would add me to the call so I could give the dude a piece of my mind and roast him at the end of it, as long as he doesn't run away, which I assume he will, but in the chance that he doesn't, be funny. It would be funny.
And I mentioned this and he denied it because it never happened because the debate didn't happen. But he was still going to do this. It's hilarious. He was so insecure, he's just going to have his little brother jump in when he starts losing the argument. He's always able to paint the picture to make himself look like the righteous one and will virtue signal and pander every chance he gets and none of his fans will see through it. Whenever he does get into minor controversies because he actually said something he truly believes in, he'll either misconstrue what actually happened and paint his narrative as he always does, or he'll just backpedal and pretend he didn't believe in it and everything will be left as it should be because he's not used to facing actual criticism. Take that Small Koniki situation, for example, where he posted a tweet complaining about the PTB, and people were actually against him for once and making good arguments against his crying, and he pulled out the I was just joking, bro. Just watch this video by Motherwell, and it shows how he actually acts when things don't go his way, and he gets a taste, just a little taste, of the types of things he does to other people. The people he makes videos on almost always get harassment and will sometimes even quit the game afterwards. See this video for more information. But you gotta get that paycheck in a dog-eat-dog world, I guess. He's not gonna stop due to his ego either. The only thing that could possibly make him stop is a bigger content creator calling him out, which will never happen because these creators don't get big by speaking their mind. They get big by pandering and spamming out vault speed builds. He tries making other content, but it goes absolutely nowhere because he's not funny, entertaining, or good at the game, and he's only popular off these scummy snake videos. He even made a video a couple years back saying he would try to be more positive and cut down on making the toxic TTV content, and he tried for a little.
I think it's better if these videos are made more occasionally, if that makes sense. And I hope you guys are cool with that. If you're not, you can unsubscribe and I don't blame you, because if you're here because you want to see 1 to 2 salty TTV videos a week, I just don't want to do that anymore.
But when you're a full-time YouTuber and have no talent outside of drama farming and this is all you can do, it won't work out to pay that rent. I mean, you can see. Eventually he just gave up and started punching down again. And despite leaping at every possible opportunity for drama, he didn't cover the drama with Otsdarva and Aventic, or Nina, which kind of came across as strange to me, that the biggest DBD drama channel wouldn't make a video on such a serious and huge situation when he's hurt so many smaller creators and even ones I've personally met and talked to recently over nothing. But then I remembered Otsdarva is actually bigger than him, so he wouldn't be stepping on ants for a change, and it's probably not worth it. Gotta milk those 801-minute videos on smaller targets, it seems. And let me just be serious for a second. Unlike a lot of these huge cancel culture, like this guy's the worst YouTuber videos, he's not like a terrible guy. I've talked to him and he seems fine. It's just this content's like just poison. There's no huge scandal. He hasn't like, you know, texted a minor or something, but you gotta stop at some point. This is awful. Like, he's an alright guy.
Yo,
Wow.
all drama aside, hope you boys are doing well. I am gonna continue.
Yeah. You too.
I'm gonna continue running Dark Souls here if that's cool with you guys.
I haven't played
Very
Dark
good.
Souls
I'm gonna
2,
mute
man, is it?
till you guys can have the floor, so there's
You
no
haven't played Dark
interruption.
Souls what? Wait, what'd you say, River?
I haven't played Dark Souls, the first one. I'm just an Elden Ring scrub.
Criminal.
I haven't played,
Oh, dude, Dark Souls 1 is great.
I got it, man. I have Dark Souls 3 on
So
Steam.
good.
I got it on sale, but I've never played
Highly
it.
recommend.
I'm a new gen.
Look at us coming together over Souls games. See,
Yeah.
we can find common
See,
ground.
okay. Anyways, yeah, you guys have some stuff to talk about, so we'll just leave you with it. But he's gonna keep making this stuff for the foreseeable future, and he isn't gonna stop because it's all he knows how to do, and his fan base loves it because they're just a hive mind of unemployed, drama-hungry losers. Speaking of which. Regardless of whether or not you like his content or personality, even some of his dick suckers have to admit that he has by far the worst fan base of any DBD YouTuber, and it's not even close. I've experienced it firsthand myself. His fan base tends to be the types who just live on Twitter and love this type of drama and love the negative interaction and love dogpiling on people. You know the type of person I mean. And it's not a surprise for basically the biggest DBD drama channel with such an influence on all these slaves. It makes sense that they'd be the types of miserable, terminally online goblins. When I had my little nothing drama with him, which I will get into later, he basically just made his few little hit pieces, chewed me up, and spat me out like everyone else. And his fan base came in droves to send me harassment and the death threats. You know, the usual. They were sending the most copy-paste, uninteresting, black and white comments while punching down with no real argument. Despite the legions of fanboys telling me, "You got cooked, bro," which happens to basically anyone he makes a slander piece on, they could never tell me why or how I actually lost and failed to make good arguments, because they're incredibly emotional and parasocial. But like I said, we'll get into that later. And trust me, I get it. I know the plausible deniability argument that he and his fans will use. No creator has full control over his fans, but you do have full control over where you send them. Making a video cutting out important context and painting an incredibly black and white picture to defame and smear me will make some of these losers want to go and harass me. It's not like they just come out of nowhere, especially with a fan base like this of group thinking sheep with no original thoughts in their head. They're going to do it, and you can't just pull the plausible deniability every time, since you've defamed dozens of people at this point, and this is all you're known for, and this happens every single time. He really was the pioneer of DBD toxic Twitch streamer does this videos, and you can tell he knows that because he spams his tags with them even when it's not relevant to the video at all. Other people in his bubble, like his butt buddy Scott Junn, just live off slander. I called him out briefly in a few videos, and instead of providing actual good arguments against me, because his brain has been fried from sitting in a room with dirty laundry and sweatpants for the past decade and telling people what they want to hear in a text-to-speech voice reading off patch notes, he just flanders me in the top comment of Spook's video saying that I got destroyed, which he doesn't tell me how because they never do, thinking is hard, and that I ducked a debate with him, and that I deleted his comments. All of this is factually untrue, but they don't care. Spooks will hard it and pin it, and their entire personalities are built off punching down at a much smaller creator, making valid points with slander, because for someone as terminally online as him, he doesn't know somehow that YouTube will auto-filter comments all the time. This was my last comment to him in a thread, by the way. But Scott Junn likes slander, and he's all about that, so I'm not surprised he'd do this instead of making a good point. These are the people he surrounds himself with. Spooks, Scott Junn, and Rapidman are sort of like always on each other's asses, and they can do no wrong. Regardless of who makes a good point, they'll never hear it. It's hilarious, but his fans don't care about doing their own research on stuff like this because they just want to join in on the dog pile regardless of evidence because they're miserable. I wouldn't mind it if it was constructive, but this is just kind of cringe. It's the most emotional group thinking way of going about this, and no one has proven me wrong. But I mentioned his influence too. Other creators kind of started copying him and following around in his footsteps afterwards, like his little brother vying for approval Rapidman, and his alcoholic unemployed brother who left the family, Aaron Duke. As I mentioned in the DBD community video, it's even rubbed off on other creators like Skyfaction and Choi to make hit piece videos framing someone as the bad guy while cutting out important context of both sides being toxic in the situation, like endgame chats or the other person's perspective, as was the case with Pro Vengeance, where they didn't show the endgame chats and just painted him as the villain. And these narratives are genuinely dangerous. Choi's video on Titan of the Mind got his robots to mass report Titan's DBD account and got his account banned for a month when he didn't break the rules. It was right after he made the video. It's not a coincidence, but it's all about analyzing behavior, right? Spook's video on One Letter Shore provably got his PlayStation account banned like days after the video came out because of the mass reporting. This is not a coincidence, but it's all about analyzing the behavior, right? Spook's debate on Pro Vengeance got his moderator doxxed just for being the guy's moderator like 3 days after the debate, but it's all about analyzing behavior, right? Like, you can't just keep pretending this shit doesn't happen. This type of content has seeped into all the community and heightened the cancel culture and one-sided views since Spook and Jukes is such a prominent figure nowadays. His fans are also the ones who instigate situations accusations and then cut out the context and play the victim, and then send him the clip of the toxic streamers, as we saw with Miss Dual Threat, sending him the evidence of One Letter Short harassing her, which was so incredibly nothing because everything was kept inside the game. He was just making fun of a clearly vapid streamer, but I guess he deserves getting his account banned for that. The dates lining up are just too convenient, but this is what a mob mentality does to people. He can't just keep pretending these aren't his fans. The guy who doxed Proventus' mod is provably someone in the Spooks fan base because the Twitter account was linked to someone defending him for saying the N-word. I truly believe these types of pretentious videos started with him, and these lolcows who make them don't believe what they're doing at all. They just know it will work from how much this community loves dogpiling on people with no evidence. You can see how butthurt these people get when they're actually criticized or get a taste of their own medicine, because they're not used to the slightest bit of backlash while playing Holier Than Thou. I mean, you saw how triggered Spook and Hairline got when I made fun of his content for 30 seconds in a 20-minute video on the community in general, right? So let me paint you a picture. Say there's a 40k subscriber YouTube channel, but all the subscribers are from stuff he did before. And after being on and off and inactive for a while, he decides, hey, I like this game a lot, I've been playing it for a while, and the content is really bad overall. Maybe I could find a niche? A few videos later, he's around 42k, so basically 2,000 from Dead by Daylight, and he hasn't even been making stuff for a month yet. He makes an incredibly harsh and critical video on why he doesn't like the DBD community in general, dedicating one of the 3 segments in the video to calling out content creators, and dedicating one of the 5 segments of that segment to briefly talking about Spook and Jukes and similar creators for about 30 seconds. In turn, this absolute man-child who cannot take and is not used to receiving criticism, especially constructive criticism, makes his 8-minute hit piece on a much smaller and newer creator based on a brief call-out in a 20-minute video that wasn't even remotely about him, dedicating the entire video to strawmanning his channel with a bunch of no-you arguments and painting a narrative of slander and misinformation. Surely someone like this could never be the bad guy, right? And yes, it is hilarious for someone like this whose main argument is calling people offended. Like, he literally says I was offended by bad content, like it's just criticism.
Motherfucker, you are so offended by every form of Dead by Daylight content that you had to make an entire video about it and whine about each individual type of content. I don't like gameplay. I don't like discussion. Wah. There's too much drama. Dude, you're fucking whining about everything. Who is the offended one here?
It's funny, this guy got so butthurt over a 30-second call-out in a 20-minute video that he shat out a video that's barely over 8 minutes long for more mid-roll ads, by the way, and got his legions of droids to attack me with lame and unconstructive arguments. This is what people call instigating, by the way, on my end. Critical thinking is hard when you have an intrinsic bias, and you're this emotional and parasocial for someone who doesn't even know you exist, by the way. But hey, honestly, receiving the Spook and Jukes harassment treatment was fine for a number of reasons. Number one, I'm a YouTuber, not a streamer. Nearly every one of these braindead comments with no arguments and further hit piece videos from his fanboys is free engagement and free money for me, which is a nice bonus as well as being proven right.
One exciting moment to the next. And then there's the folks you might just watch for the personality and some of their hot takes.
Number two is that these people are so irrational and stupid, it's fun to argue with them, at least for a little. It's like a power fantasy for me knowing that even though I'm the underdog with so many people coming from a 100 times bigger channel over a 30-second call out that none of them are actually able to prove me wrong, and it's fun to fuck with them. The number 3 reason why I don't really care is because I do have thicker skin than a lot of people he targets. I'm not scared of the things that you guys are scared of because you're eternally online. I'm not scared of being canceled or ratioed when no one is able to prove my points wrong because I speak the truth and don't filter myself like they do. I'm not scared of getting dislike bombed for not making safe, unchallenging, predictable content like the stuff that you watch. You cannot scare me off with your mob of worshippers fueled by slander. It would terrify you though, but I can handle it. I'm here to stay and I'm just getting started despite you trying to kill me so early on. Those are the reasons why his hit piece video and the backlash afterwards did not scare me off. But in the eternal words of Matthew Santoro,
one thing I can say to you guys is, before you make an entire YouTube video on somebody, maybe have some compassion. I'm not saying like don't call them out, but maybe have some compassion for, because you don't know what somebody's going through, and you don't know how close somebody is to the edge.
It's so ironic, isn't it? For someone who preaches to treat others kindly and keep everything in the game, yet his main form of content is putting random people on blast who were keeping things in the game, and mocking their gameplay and everything they say with the shitty react cam at the top right with no talented editing. In the hit piece he made on me, he basically had no good arguments and just hit me with a bunch of ironic, like, deflection arguments when I was attacking his content. He couldn't really defend his own content. He just said no you. He really likes doing this, by the way. Deflecting is basically his main argument in every single type of call-out video he makes. It's pretty much all his little pea brain can think of when someone actually corners him with an argument. He talked about how I mentioned that he was drama farming and punching down in every one of his videos. But then instead of defending that, he said, but what about this random troll video where you were holding people in corners? Isn't that punching down? Which is funny because not only is it not putting these people on blast, not only is it one video of mine when he's made hundreds and the first DVD video I ever made, not only am I not pandering or acting superior, like this video is just clearly fucking stupid and I'm obviously in the wrong and you're just trying to get a rise. I'm not trying to push any type of agenda or act superior like he does. I'm not trying to pretend I'm doing something good for the community. The video is just fucking dumb. It just isn't comparable in the slightest, yet it's like all he could think of during the entire video. It's a troll video where I'm not cutting out important context. It's mainly focused on the game and not their behavior. I'm not painting people as villains or telling people to attack them. I'm just making fun of them, which actually paints me as the villain, which I'm fine with. Reminder, he got so butthurt over a video calling him out for 30 seconds and even went to other parts of the video where I was showing him as background footage, just trying to find any part where I mention him at all. It's insanely pathetic, but I guess the rent is due because crushing people is his full-time job. This is mathematically not an instigation from my side, but I still enjoyed it, and I thought it was just funny that I pissed off this guy this much in like my third video in the community, and I hadn't even been making stuff for like a month yet. In our debate, he claimed he had no issues with my video besides calling him out, when he also dedicated part of his video to showing 30-second clips of my video in their entirety with no editing and then said this.
This video is just him ripping the VODs from these streamers and then sprinkling in little edgy memes that only 12-year-olds would find funny.
Which is so ironic because I actually edited that video and added stuff. And it's still my worst video by far. He even went into other videos I made like years ago because he realized how brief my callout actually was and how little there was to actually analyze. But he had to get it over the 8-minute mark and just mocked them without making any good arguments because logic is hard. I hate Blight, not as a survivor in terms of going against him, but as a killer main because of what he represents.
Wow, man, that's so deep. You're so cool and different.
He went back to this video from years ago that I made about cancel culture, which obviously would piss him off because his entire channel is built around it, and he framed it as I was defending Dr. Disrespect because he knew his braindead fans would have a neuron activation upon hearing something like that. It's just blatant slander and misrepresenting what I actually said, but he doesn't care. Anything to give the people more irrelevant reasons to hate the boogeyman of the video. And look, I knew these videos were bound to piss people off. I'm not playing the victim by saying I didn't expect anyone to respond. It's just funny though, I've been here for like a month and many of his fans and group thinkers have made multiple emotional hit pieces on me punching down and failing to actually make good points. Because the DBD community is not used to being offended or challenged. They're used to watching their vault speech shit, and they hate me because I speak the truth. I wouldn't have such an ego over this if these losers were actually able to prove me wrong, but that's an argument for another day. In the video on me, he unironically said, if you don't like the content, don't watch it, lol.
Or Scott Jund, he uploads discussion videos. He doesn't like that he uploads discussion videos. He says it's boring and lazy. Who cares? You don't like their content, don't watch it. Why are you sitting here fucking bitching about it and whining like a little baby?
Which is hilarious coming from him because that's his entire channel. Going after people who aren't hurting anyone and staying in their own lane. And making videos on them where if you don't like them, just don't watch them, lol. I've always hated this argument. It's like telling a film reviewer that if they don't like the movie they're making a review on, then they just shouldn't watch it. Like, stop being so negative, bro. Like, it's such a bad point because people like talking about bad things. Especially when they, like me, feel there's room for improvement, and the content of the community could be so much better. But anyways, our story didn't end there. After a bit of back and forth, he eventually challenged me to a debate, as I expected. And it was, we kind of just didn't really get anywhere with it. It was the most whataboutism talking in circles I've ever seen. But unlike a lot of his contemporaries, he did actually make some good points. As someone who argues with people online a lot and just enjoys it and nearly always wins, it's been a while since I've actually had someone give me a challenge like this. I legitimately felt cornered at times, but I realized upon rewatching the debate what he was actually doing. Everything I brought up, every good point I would make towards his content or person, he would just deflect and say, but what about you? Without actually addressing the point. Like, what are you not getting?
The point of me bringing everything up in that video was because it directly relates to your own criticisms. I was showing that you are criticizing yourself.
So you think that's
It's not about my problem with your content, it's about your problem with your content. What don't you understand, dude?
Your problem with... And some of them are valid, but the point still stands that the standards are far higher for him as someone who acts holier than thou and claims to be making a change. And I'm just some random dude with no impact on the community who just started making content a month ago. This is why I believed as a non-black and white thinker that this went kind of 50-50. I could just be disingenuous and say, oh yeah, I cooked him, bro, like a lot of his emotional fans are saying, but I like to analyze both sides and look at the bigger picture. In the end, we didn't really get anywhere and nothing has changed. I felt like no one really won. Then again, it wouldn't have mattered because if he literally said nothing with the massive power imbalance, the winner was already decided from the get-go despite no good arguments to prove it. Let me repeat, he could have said literally nothing and people would still be saying, he destroyed you, bro. So this is why I don't take these zombies very seriously. I will admit that I did come into the debate fairly unprepared and didn't take it very seriously, while Spook and Jukes on the other hand had like a notepad of points on his desktop and a court file of classified evidence and information. And I was just there to fuck around because I thought it was hilarious like 3 weeks in I was getting this. It's hysterical how much a tiny jab like this can hurt someone's ego when they aren't used to constructive criticism. During the debate when I realized all he was going to do was deflect the whole time, I just kind of gave up trying to get anywhere because it was boring me to tears. I nearly got a blackout on my bingo card though, so that was cool. Later I made a poll on my community tab just to see what the common consensus was for the debate. Not to prove that I won, because I never, ever said that I won it. And initially for the first day, the 50-50 was by far the most voted answer. It shows that my up-and-coming community are already less disingenuous and more free-thinking than most, because I believe hand on heart that most DBD creators' fans would have just voted for them without coming to their own conclusion. This was a poll of mostly my fans, and they voted 50-50, which is kind of what I believe too. I don't think I won. It stayed at 50-50 until Spook and Jukes uploaded the debate on his channel, sending all of his fans to mass dislike and mass vote for him on the poll, without keeping the power balance in mind, by the way. And then he just said like, lol, you lost. Like, I cannot believe his ego was hurt this badly. Of course he won the poll after making the debate video on me. I think mathematically 160,000 is a bigger number than around 3,000, but with how rabid and degenerate his fanbase are, they're obviously gonna vote for him. He's basically patting himself on the back here and giving himself an award with no self-awareness of the 1v100, and having everyone on his side already because he's a much bigger creator. Like, of course they're gonna vote for him, especially after he makes a video. It may not seem like much, but honestly, I feel like this really shows what kind of a person he is. He loves the fact that he's built up this community of yes men. He loves that no matter what he does or says, they'll agree with him. I feel like deep in his heart, he loves the harassment that the people he makes these videos on provably get, but I shouldn't paint him like that because he can just plausibly deny it like he does with everything, despite his videos provably not impacting anyone in a positive way or changing anyone's mind. Again, he could have said literally nothing in that debate, but because he's Spook and Jukes, people still would have said that I lost, and I fully believe that because of the intrinsic parasocial bias. And like, trust me, I'm used to getting hate on my videos, even before DVD, because it's the nature of my videos being unfiltered and having opinions in them that will make people angry despite them flopping around and failing to make good counterpoints. But the random upload I made of the Spook and Jukes debate that I got from my own stream is the worst I have ever seen. If you want to know what his fanbase is actually like and how much they eat people alive for disagreeing with their god, just look at the comments on this video. It is so unbelievable. This is legitimately just dumb internet beef where he has every advantage possible in the situation and all I did was speak my mind and nearly no one had a good argument against me. I didn't plan to make a video like this, but the debate really showed me what kind of a person he is. Regardless of who won or not, from the get-go he was supposed to win. We all know that. I've been making content for a month and he's been making content for 6 years while having an infinitely bigger fan base and dozens of debates under his belt. His entire personality in the community is debating people beneath him, so he's had way more practice than me. I'll have the debate linked in the description if you haven't watched it, but it's honestly incredibly nothing. I haven't heard a single good point from even his most diehard defenders as to how I lost it. In his video, he tried every dirty, underhanded trick in the book, even pulling up random tweets of a Twitter account with my name on it and a jumbled spam tag saying some blatantly offensive things. This is not a gotcha in the same way that showing a video of me holding people in corners is not a gotcha, because both examples are just blatantly offensive and stupid, and for lack of a better term, rage bait. A gotcha is when you find someone who's doing something you don't want them to find, like texting with a minor on Discord or whatever, but this isn't that. But regardless of the context, it's just another thing he can show to his audience and he knows what it paints. He doesn't care that this is racist or whatever, he just wants to paint it. He loves doing this. The story behind this account is that it actually was mine back in like 2020 in GD when I got banned, and I recently just gave it back to a friend of mine and said do whatever the fuck you want with it because it's just harmless and stupid. It wasn't me saying this, but even if it was, it's not a gotcha because it's the most blatant, stupid, offensive garbage ever, and if you take it seriously, then I think you belong to his community. It's also incredibly ironic coming from him and his butt buddies because of all the shit they've said in the past, but I don't care about words. I just think it's funny they're using this as a smoking gun when they don't have an argument because it's so nothing. So what else did he have against me in our debate? Well, he told me to turn on my webcam fairly early because I made fun of some dude for being fat or something. I don't have a webcam, but if I did, what would have happened? Would he have mocked me if I wasn't conventionally attractive? Like, what kind of an argument even is this?
Would you mind turning on the webcam for us here today?
I don't have a webcam. I have a video, but there's other videos.
Can we get a look at you?
That show my face.
In 2025, you don't have a webcam.
I'm not a fucking streamer like you. Like, I don't know.
Oh.
I made a video called Why I Quit Geometry Dash. Go to the last little bit of that video. It's me holding a poster of my cat. That is me. I am just an average fucking slightly overweight white guy, fucking racist gamer stereotype. Like, there's nothing special about me at all.
Why did you say
Go look at that video.
racist gamer stereotype?
I'm trying to fit on your agenda here. He's supposed to be the justice warrior. He's supposed to be the guy who's so far above it all. He's supposed to be the one who looks down on people who mock others for their appearance. And yet here he's trying to make me turn on my webcam? It's just such a weird contradiction. I even offered to join the debate briefly on Discord Mobile, because I have shown my face briefly in the past on the channel, but he just said no to that, so I don't even know what he was getting at. Besides that, I have very little to add. All he did was just deflect the entire time. That was it. It's like all he could think of, and we got nowhere, so watch the debate for yourself if you want to come to your own conclusions, unlike his fans. Besides, that's another thing him and his fans brought up was me stuttering during the debate a lot, which is funny because, and I'm not going to use this as an excuse, I do have diagnosed anxiety and depression that I'm medicated for. I again think it's a funny look for someone who claims to be so inclusive to make fun of me for stuttering. It was like the same with Pro Vengeance, where his fanbase made fun of his voice when he has a rare condition that makes his voice sound like that. I could easily just pull out the ableist card if I wanted to, but I'm not going to stoop to his level because I think the whole thing is just silly. For someone whose argument is most of the time just deflecting and saying people are hypocrites, he sure doesn't do a lot of self-reflecting and completely lacks any form of self-awareness. But anyways, yeah, that's essentially the extent of the interaction I've had with him. The only conclusion he wanted me to come to from our debate is that our content is more similar than I think, which is funny considering how mass-produced his slop is and how little work or editing he actually puts in, along with all the punching down on much smaller creators. He compares this to me calling out bigger creators, like much bigger creators, for their behavior and content, which is just not a good point at all, despite him standing by it. I wouldn't have been so confident and had such an ego in this video if anyone could have provided an actual good argument, but it's just the same emotional copy-pasted bullshit and straw man arguments. His fans coming to my comment section and even finding my Steam profile to spam death threats is exactly what I wanted to prove my point. It doesn't bother me because I end up just feeling bad for these subhumans, but it sure does blow his entire morality thing right up in his face. No one, not even him, has given me a good counter-argument towards his content, the effects of it, or the debate. And I have tried and looked, trust me. He is definitely going to see this and prove my point by doing the exact same song and dance he's done before whenever he gets legitimate criticism, which is just to snip out the good parts and just resort to deflecting or outright mocking because he knows he doesn't have to have a good argument with this many drones on his side. Some envy these types who are able to support an AFK stay-at-home wife and 2 kids off drama content, but I honestly just feel kind of bad for how much time he has to spend online fishing for miserable controversies. It's not healthy to see someone like me who's just getting started and immediately punch down with an entire video barely over 8 minutes with no good points because your ego is hurt over an incredibly brief call out. It's just not a good look. I would actually respect Spooks more as a person if he actually owned up to, despite his efforts of keeping the identities private, he would at least recognize and acknowledge the harassment that people get shortly after he makes these videos on their words. He needs to acknowledge this is a direct result of his videos. I honestly would respect him more if he just owned the fact that he kills people and farms drama to pay that rent, instead of always playing holier than thou and being pretentious with the plausible deniability. He should just admit that he loves drama. Why do you think he's so eager to debate people in the live stream and just to make fun of them instead of making good points? At this point, he should honestly just acknowledge what he is. Anyways, I wanted to keep this video from being just about my interactions with him and look at the bigger picture. Although I think it was important for the third section to be as long as it was, to show what being punched down by him looks like in real time and to get a look of the effects of it and what he actually does to people on a regular basis. As well as clear my name a bit, although it won't matter when these power-hungry losers can just slander me to death. Anyways, I'm sure this isn't over since he will see this video, but I'm here to stay. Like I said, you guys cannot scare me off with your underhanded tactics, despite all of these big emotional content creators throwing all sorts of shit at me and not one of them has made a good point. All of this just proves how miserable the community truly is. People think the community is toxic because of stuff like camping and tunneling, when the witch hunting and punching down content is more common here than ever. What other communities is it normalized to make hit pieces like this as your main form of content? It's not calling people out, it's not an analysis of behavior, it's just sad. This video won't be a wake-up call because despite the fact that he will 100% watch it and maybe even react on his much bigger channel, while cutting out the important context. I mean, if he reacted with Shore talking over him, he'll definitely react to this. But whenever he receives constructive criticism, he just kind of gets whiny and butthurt and doesn't really know what to do. His only argument is just deflecting. I saw this in real time. When he watches this video, he's gonna say something like, well, you call out bad content. How is that different from me witch hunting people? Or you say I paint people in a bad light, but you're painting me in a bad light. It's just all deflection and no you arguments every single time, and it's all he can think of, and I've addressed and debunked them numerous times. This will not be a wake-up call for him or anyone who makes similar content, and he'll continue his pollution. Okay, anyways, that was quite the video. Next time we'll do something much more low-key and laid back. and something that should hopefully not cause any drama to this magnitude. I'm excited to see what the comments will look like on this video. It'll be likely full of spooked droids saying the same copy-pasted bullshit with no coherent argument, but that's the type of engagement YouTube loves, so keep it coming. Well, anyways, that's about it for this video. I have never made something this long before. My voice is dead. We'll see where this shitstorm takes me from here, but it'll be a fun ride regardless. Thanks for sticking around until the end, and think for yourself, please. As difficult as that is, because I get a big ego when I'm right. Anyways,